I stood frozen in the doorway of my favorite bistro, watching my husband of 8 years feed chocolate cake to my best friend. Not a friendly bite between acquaintances. No, this was the intimate kind of gesture you'd see in wedding photos. His fingers lingered on her lips a moment too long, and her giggle carried across the restaurant like a knife to my gut. My name is Callie, and this is how I discovered my marriage was over. Oh my God, I heard someone whisper behind me. Isn't that his wife? I should have turned around and walked away with dignity. Instead, I walked straight to their table, my heels clicking against the hardwood floor like a countdown to destruction. They didn't notice me until I was right there, casting a shadow over their cozy little dessert date. Well, this is awkward, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Trey jumped like he'd been shocked. Callie, what are you? This isn't. Save it. I turned to Bonnie, who at least had the decency to look ashamed. 8 years of friendship, and this is how you repay me? We didn't mean for this to happen, Bonnie stammered, wiping chocolate from her lip with a trembling hand. It just did. Things just happen? Like gravity? Like weather? I picked up their wine bottle, the same expensive brand Trey always said we couldn't afford, and poured myself a glass. Fascinating. Honey, let's not make a scene, Trey said, reaching for my arm. I jerked away from his touch. A scene? You mean like the scene you two have been making behind my back? How long has this been going on? The silence that followed told me everything I needed to know. Callie, Bonnie started, we were going to tell you. When? After you'd finished planning whatever surprise you've got up your sleeves? I'd overheard Trey on the phone earlier that week, talking about some big announcement. Now it all made horrible sense. The restaurant had gone quiet. Every eye was on us, but I couldn't bring myself to care. 8 years of marriage, of building a life together in our dream home, reduced to this moment in a busy bistro on a random Tuesday afternoon. Actually, Trey straightened his shoulders, suddenly finding his courage. We were going to tell everyone this weekend. We're getting married. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The sound was hollow and sharp, like breaking glass. Married? You're not even divorced yet. The papers are being filed tomorrow, he said, as if that made everything okay. We wanted to do this right. Right? The wine glass shook in my hand. Like sleeping with my best friend while I renovated our house was right? Like lying to my face every day was right? The house. Trey's expression hardened. About that, don't. I set the glass down before I could throw it. Don't you dare talk about our house right now. Bonnie reached for my hand. We can all be adults about this. Maybe after some time. I pulled away so fast her fingers grasped air. You know what? Keep the cake. Keep the wine. Keep the man who apparently means so little to you that you'd help him cheat on his wife. But remember this moment, both of you, because karma has a way of coming full circle. I turned to leave, then stopped. Oh, and Bonnie? Remember that gorgeous Valentino dress you left at my house last month? I donated it to the thrift store. Hope that was adult enough for you. The walk home was a blur. I barely registered the concerned text from my sister Cameron or the 3 missed calls from my dad. All I could think about was how Trey and Bonnie were probably still sitting there, planning their perfect future in my perfect house. What they didn't know, what nobody knew, was that the house they were so eagerly plotting over wasn't Trey's achievement at all. That beautiful Victorian with its hand-carved moldings and restored hardwood floors. That was all thanks to my inheritance, carefully hidden away in a trust my mother had set up before she died. I unlocked the front door, running my hand along the wallpaper I'd specially ordered from France. Every inch of this house held pieces of my heart, my history, my future. And now they thought they could just take it? My phone buzzed again. A text from Trey. We need to talk about living arrangements. I smiled for the first time that day, thinking about the property deeds safely locked away in my father's safe. Oh, we certainly do, I whispered to the empty foyer. We certainly do. My sister Cameron burst through my front door the next morning with 2 cups of coffee and a determined look on her face. Okay, spill everything. Your texts last night were a mess. I was still in my pajamas, curled up on the window seat where I'd spent most of the night. You mean the ones with all the knife emojis? Those would be the ones. She handed me a coffee and sat down. Dad's worried sick. He wanted to come over, but I told him to give you space. I ran into Trey and Bonnie at Café Marcel yesterday, I said, taking a sip. They're getting married. They're what? Cameron nearly dropped her cup. But you and Trey aren't even divorced? Yeah, that's happening today, apparently. I showed her Trey's latest text. Meeting with lawyers at 2. Don't be difficult about this. Don't be difficult. Cameron's face flushed with anger. Who does he think he is? Before I could answer, voices drifted up from the street. Through the window, I watched Trey and Bonnie pull up in his car. They were laughing about something, and Bonnie was wearing one of her signature sundresses, probably bought with the credit card I'd helped her apply for last year. Oh, this should be good, Cameron muttered as the front door opened. Trey walked in like he owned the place, Bonnie trailing behind him. They both froze when they saw Cameron. Family meeting? Trey asked, his tone deliberately light. How nice. Just checking on my sister after you nuked her life, Cameron replied sweetly. You remember what sisters do, right? Support each other? Or did you forget that while you were sleeping with her best friend? Cameron, I warned, though secretly I was glad she was there. We're here to talk about the house, Trey said, ignoring Cameron's jab. Callie, be reasonable. This was my investment. My money built this place. I took another sip of coffee to hide my smile. Did it? Don't start, he sighed. Look, I'm willing to be generous. Take 2 weeks to find a new place. I'll even help with the security deposit. How magnanimous of you, Cameron snorted. Bonnie stepped forward, wringing her hands. Callie, I know this is hard, but Trey and I want to start our life together. This house, it means so much to us. To you? I stood up slowly. Tell me, Bonnie, which contractor did we use for the kitchen renovation? What? Or who hand-painted the ceiling medallion in the dining room? Or why we chose that specific shade of blue for the library? That's not important, Trey cut in. Actually, it is. I walked to the library doors, running my hand along the frame. Because while you were working late, or so you said, I was here, planning, designing, creating our home. With my money, Trey insisted. I heard movement by the front door and glanced over to see my father standing there, holding a familiar manila envelope. Perfect timing. Dad? Trey's confidence wavered slightly. What are you doing here? Supporting my daughter, Dad said, walking over to hand me the envelope. Like family should. What's that? Bonnie asked, eyeing the envelope. I pulled out the property deed and held it up. Just some paperwork about the house. You seem very interested in investments, Trey. Want to see something fascinating? His face paled as he scanned the document. This can't be right. Oh, but it is. I smiled, feeling stronger with every word. You see, while you were busy taking credit for our beautiful home, you never actually bothered to read the paperwork. The house was purchased through a trust. My trust. Set up by my mother before she died. You're lying, he whispered. Meeting with lawyers at 2, right? I checked my watch. Perfect. We can discuss the eviction notice I'm filing, against you. Bonnie grabbed Trey's arm. What is she talking about? She's bluffing, he said, but his voice shook. Am I? I walked to the front door and held it open. I guess we'll find out at 2. Don't be difficult about this, Trey. They left in stunned silence, Bonnie shooting worried glances over her shoulder. As soon as the door closed, Cameron burst out laughing. Did you see their faces? She hugged me tight. That was beautiful. Dad squeezed my shoulder. Your mother would be proud, sweetheart. She always said that house would be your sanctuary. I looked around at my home, truly mine, and felt something shift inside me. The pain was still there, but now it was mixed with something else, something like justice. So, Cameron grinned. What's next? I pulled out my phone and dialed a number. Hi, Yael, it's Callie. Remember that legal advice you offered? I'm ready to take you up on it. Yael's office smelled like leather and old books, a comforting combination that reminded me of afternoons spent in my mother's study. She sat across from me, reading through the trust documents with careful attention. Your mother was brilliant, Yael said, looking up from the papers. This trust is ironclad. She thought of everything. I picked up the framed photo on Yael's desk. Mom and her at law school graduation. She always did. Tell me about the day you bought the house, Yael said, pulling out a legal pad. Every detail matters. It was 3 years ago. I set the photo down. Mom had been gone for 6 months. Trey and I were house hunting, and he was getting frustrated because nothing matched his executive lifestyle expectations. Cameron, who'd insisted on coming along, snorted from her seat by the window. You mean nothing matched his ego? Then we found the Victorian, I continued. It needed work, but it was perfect. Trey nearly walked away when he saw the price, but then I suggested using my savings for the down payment. And he never questioned where those savings came from? Yael asked. He was too excited about telling everyone he'd bought us a mansion. I laughed bitterly. I remember him at the closing, strutting around like he'd built the place himself. Yael made some notes. And the renovation money? All from the trust. I told him I'd gotten a great promotion at work, that I was handling the contractors and finances so he could focus on his career. I shook my head. He never even looked at a bank statement. A memory hit me suddenly. Mom sitting in her hospital bed holding my hand. Promise me you'll keep it secret, Callie. Men like Trey, they need to feel powerful. Let him think he's in control, but always keep your independence. Your mother knew, Yael said softly, reading my expression. She saw right through him. She saw everything. I wiped away a tear. I should have listened sooner. Cameron moved to sit beside me. You listened when it mattered. Now what's our next move? Yael spread out several documents. First, we file a response to his divorce petition, highlighting the house's ownership. Then, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and raised an eyebrow. Well, this is interesting. Trey's mother, Aurora, just called my office. She wants to meet. Aurora? I hadn't spoken to my mother-in-law since the bistro incident. Why? Let's find out. Yael dialed the number and put it on speaker. Callie? Aurora's voice filled the room. Are you there? I'm here, Aurora. I need to tell you something. She sounded upset. Trey came to me yesterday, asking to borrow money. He said he needed it for legal fees, to fight you for the house. I exchanged looks with Cameron. And? I started asking questions about the house, about Bonnie, about everything. Aurora's voice hardened. He lied to me, didn't he? About how he afforded that house? Yes, I said simply. That boy. She took a shaky breath. I raised him better than this. I want to help make this right. Yael leaned forward. What kind of help are you offering, Aurora? Information about their plans and... She paused. About some business dealings Trey's been hiding, things his clients might want to know. Cameron grabbed my arm, excited. This is perfect. Why are you doing this? I had to ask. Because your mother was my friend too, Callie, and because what they're doing is wrong. Aurora's voice cracked. I've already lost one daughter when your sister-in-law cut ties with us. I don't want to lose you too. I remembered all the Sunday dinners, the holiday celebrations, the way Aurora had welcomed me into her family. Thank you, I whispered. After the call ended, Yael started revising her notes. This changes things. With Aurora's help, we can build an even stronger case. Not just for the house, Cameron added, if what she's hinting about Trey's business is true. I stood and walked to the window, watching the city below. Somewhere out there, Trey and Bonnie were probably planning their future in my house, thinking they had all the power. Callie? Yael called. What do you want to do? I turned back to them, thinking of Mom's last gift to me. Not just the house, but the strength to stand up for myself. I want everything, I said firmly. The house, the truth, all of it. They think they can just take what's mine? Let's show them how wrong they are. Yael smiled and picked up her phone. I'll clear my schedule. We have work to do. Cameron hugged me. Mom would be so proud right now. Looking at the photo of Mom and Yael one more time, I felt certain she already was. The sound of a key in the front door made me freeze in my home office. I'd changed the locks yesterday, which meant only one person could be letting themselves in. Callie? Trey's voice echoed through the house. We need to talk. I closed my laptop and took a deep breath. Right on schedule. Aurora had warned me he'd try something like this. In here, I called out, straightening the papers on my desk. He walked in like he owned the place, Bonnie trailing behind him. She was wearing one of my old scarves, probably forgotten in the guest room during one of our wine nights. The sight made my blood boil. You changed the locks, Trey said, his voice dangerously calm. My house, my locks. I gestured to the chairs across from my desk. Please sit. I assume this is about the eviction notice? Bonnie perched nervously on a chair. This is ridiculous, Callie. We can work something out. Like you worked something out with my marriage? I smiled pleasantly. No, I don't think so. Look, Trey leaned forward. I've been patient, I've been reasonable, but this ends now. I built this life, this house. Did you? I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a thick folder. Because these receipts tell a different story. The Italian marble in the kitchen, paid for by me. The custom woodwork in the library, also me. Should I go on? Those were joint accounts. No, they weren't. I slid a bank statement across the desk. This was all from my personal account, the one you never questioned because you were too busy taking credit for everything. Bonnie grabbed Trey's arm. What is she talking about? She's lying, he snapped, but his face had gone pale. She has to be. Your mother doesn't think so. I watched his expression change. We had a lovely chat yesterday. You talked to Aurora? Bonnie's voice went up an octave. She's very interested in the truth coming out. I stood up, walking to the window. About the house? About your relationship? About those creative accounting practices at your firm? Trey shot to his feet. You're bluffing. Am I? I turned back to face them. Ask yourself why your biggest client canceled their meeting this morning. His face went from pale to ashen. How did you know about that? Let's just say karma works in mysterious ways. I walked to the door and held it open. Now you have exactly 2 weeks to find a new place. I'd start looking if I were you. This isn't over, Trey growled, storming past me. Bonnie lingered, twisting my old scarf between her fingers. Callie, please. We used to be best friends. Used to be. I reached out and gently unwound the scarf from her neck. This looks better on me anyway. After they left, I called Cameron. It worked, just like Aurora said it would. Did he threaten you? My sister's protective instinct kicked in immediately. No, but he will. I sank into my chair. Aurora says he's meeting with his lawyer tomorrow to fight the eviction. Let him try. Cameron's smile was audible. Yael's already 3 steps ahead. Did you get the security cameras installed? This morning. I glanced at the tiny lens in the corner of the office. Everything's being recorded. Perfect. Oh, and Dad wants to know if you're coming to dinner tonight. He's making your favorite pasta. Tell him yes. I needed family right now. Real family. My phone buzzed with a text from Aurora. He's furious. Called me ranting about betrayal. You were right about everything. I texted back. Thank you for helping. I know this isn't easy. It's necessary, she replied. By the way, check your email. Just forwarded you some interesting documents from Trey's home office. I opened my laptop and clicked on the new email. What I saw made me gasp. Cameron, I said into the phone, call Yael, now. Aurora just sent proof of Trey's creative accounting, and it's worse than we thought. How much worse? Let's just say his clients aren't the only ones he's been lying to. I scanned the documents, my hands shaking. The IRS might be very interested in this. Holy shit, Cameron whispered. This isn't just about the house anymore, is it? No. I thought about Trey's smug face, about Bonnie wearing my scarf, about all the lies and betrayals. This is about justice. Dad's going to flip when he hears this. Speaking of which, I checked the time. I need to get ready for dinner. Something tells me we'll have a lot to discuss over that pasta. As I gathered my things, I caught my reflection in the window. For the first time in weeks, I was smiling, really smiling. Mom always said the truth had a way of coming out. She just never mentioned how satisfying it would be to help it along. Dad's kitchen was filled with the aroma of garlic and basil as I laid out the documents Aurora had sent. Cameron paced behind me while Dad stirred his famous marinara sauce. Tax evasion? Dad nearly dropped his wooden spoon. Are you sure? Look at these transfers. I pointed to a series of suspicious transactions. He's been moving money between accounts, underreporting income, and there's evidence of kickbacks from contractors. While claiming he paid for the house renovations, Cameron added, which we now know came from Callie's trust. Dad wiped his hands on his apron and sat down. Have you shown this to Yael? She's reviewing everything now. I picked up my phone as it buzzed. Speaking of which, Callie? Yael's voice was excited. Are you with your family? Yes, you're on speaker. Good, because they need to hear this. I just got off the phone with Aurora. Trey's planning a party next weekend. Cameron snorted. A party? Now? Not just any party. He's invited all his major clients, business partners, even some local politicians. He's planning to announce his engagement to Bonnie and Yael paused for effect. Formally claim the house as a wedding gift to her. He what? Dad's face turned red. That entitled little... Wait, I cut in. When exactly is this party? Saturday night. Aurora says he's having it catered at the house. Your house. Cameron grabbed my arm. Callie, are you thinking what I'm thinking? If you're thinking this is the perfect opportunity to expose everything, then yes. I couldn't help smiling. What better way to reveal the truth than in front of everyone who matters to him? I like where this is going, Yael said. But we need to be strategic. One wrong move and we could face legal complications. Dad stood up and returned to his sauce. You need backup. People who can verify your story. Aurora, I said immediately. She's willing to speak up, and I bet some of those contractors would talk if we approached them. Leave the contractors to me, Yael replied. I've already made some calls. 2 of them are pretty angry about Trey taking credit for their work. Cameron clapped her hands. This is perfect. But wait, how are you going to get into the party? He's not exactly going to invite you. Actually, Yael's voice took on a mischievous tone. Aurora already handled that. She insisted that Callie be invited, told Trey it would look suspicious if his soon-to-be ex-wife wasn't there to support the transition. He agreed, probably thinking you wouldn't show up. Oh, I'll show up all right. I thought about the property deed, the tax documents, the proof of my inheritance. And I'll bring receipts. Dad placed a plate of pasta in front of me. You know, your mother always said Trey would hang himself with his own rope if given enough length. Speaking of rope, Yael cut in. I just got another email from Aurora. Apparently Bonnie's been asking questions about the house's financing. She's starting to doubt Trey's stories. Good, Cameron said. Let them turn on each other. My phone buzzed with a text. It was from Bonnie. Can we talk alone, please? I showed it to Cameron, who immediately shook her head. It's a trap. Or an opportunity, Dad suggested, to see what she knows. Meet with her, Yael advised, but in public and wear that recording device I gave you. We might get something useful. I typed back, tomorrow, noon, the cafe on Main Street. Bonnie's response was immediate. Thank you, there's something you need to know. Well, Cameron grinned. Looks like the happy couple isn't so happy anymore. Dad filled everyone's wine glasses. To Karma, he said, raising his glass, and to my daughter, who's twice the person they'll ever be. To Mom, I added softly, who made sure I'd always have a home of my own. As we ate dinner and finalized our plans, I felt stronger than I had in months. Trey thought his party would be a celebration of his triumph. Instead, it would be the stage for his downfall. One more thing, Yael said before hanging up. Wear that red dress you bought for your anniversary. You know, the one Trey said was too expensive? I laughed. The one I bought with my own money? Exactly. Let's show them exactly what they're dealing with. After the call ended, Cameron helped Dad clear the dishes. You know what's funny? She said. Trey always bragged about being the smart one in your marriage. I picked up my wine glass, thinking about the party to come. Well, we're about to show everyone just how wrong he was about that, too. The cafe was quiet when Bonnie walked in. Her designer handbag clutched like a shield. She looked smaller somehow, less confident than the woman who'd been parading around my house days earlier. You came, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. You said I needed to know something. I kept my voice neutral, aware of the recording device in my jacket pocket. The waitress brought us coffee. Bonnie wrapped her hands around her cup but didn't drink. It's about Trey, about the party this weekend. The engagement celebration? I raised an eyebrow. Or the kick Callie out of her house party? Both, neither. She glanced around nervously. Things aren't what they seem. That's rich coming from you. I deserve that. She pulled out her phone and showed me a series of text messages. But look at these. Trey's been lying to everyone, including me. I scanned the messages. Conversations between Trey and various business contacts, each one more damning than the last. He told me the house was his greatest achievement, Bonnie said quietly, that he'd earned every penny himself, but these numbers don't add up. They never did. I sipped my coffee. Why are you showing me this? Because... She was interrupted by her phone ringing. Trey's name flashed on the screen. She declined the call with shaking fingers. Trouble in paradise? He's different now. Tears welled in her eyes. Aggressive, controlling. Yesterday he screamed at me for asking about the mortgage papers. Funny how karma works. I couldn't help the edge in my voice. I know you hate me, she whispered. You should. But Callie, he's planning something at this party, something big. He keeps talking about making examples of people who cross him. My phone buzzed. A text from Aurora. Trey just left my house. He's unraveling. Be careful. What kind of examples? I asked Bonnie. I don't know exactly, but she jumped as the cafe door opened. Trey stormed in, his face twisted with rage. I knew it. What are you doing here? Having coffee, I said calmly. It's still a free country. Bonnie, let's go. He grabbed her arm roughly. Now. Hey, the waitress stepped forward. Take your hands off her or I'm calling the police. Trey released Bonnie but leaned over our table. You think you're so clever, don't you? Turning everyone against me? My own mother? My fiancé? You did that all by yourself. I stood up slowly. And you're making quite a scene. Several customers had their phones out recording. Trey noticed and straightened up, adjusting his tie. Saturday night, he said through clenched teeth. Everything will be settled then. Looking forward to it. I smiled sweetly. I already picked out my dress. He practically dragged Bonnie out of the cafe. Through the window, I watched him gesturing angrily as they got into his car. My phone rang. Cameron. Aurora just sent me a video. You need to see this now. On my way. I left cash for the coffee and hurried out. 20 minutes later, I sat in Yael's office watching footage from Aurora's security camera. Trey was pacing her living room, ranting. I'll show them all, he was saying. Especially Callie. Think she can humiliate me? I've got dirt on every person coming to that party. By the time I'm done, no one will dare question me again. He's planning to blackmail his own clients? Cameron looked horrified. Not just them. Yael paused the video. Aurora found a file on his laptop. He's been collecting information on everyone. Business partners, politicians, even Bonnie. That's why she came to me today. I remembered her trembling hands. She's scared of him. We all should be, Yael said grimly. Men like this are most dangerous when cornered. My phone buzzed with another text from Bonnie. I'm sorry about today, but please be careful. He's not the man I thought he was. No, I murmured. He's exactly the man my mother warned me about. So, what's our play? Cameron asked. Yael spread out some papers. We move up our timeline. The party's in 3 days. We need everything ready. The property documents, the financial records, the witness statements. And Aurora? She'll be there, Yael confirmed, along with some other surprise guests Trey won't be happy to see. I thought about his threat in the cafe, about Bonnie's fear, about all the lies finally coming to light. He wants to make an example of me? I picked up the property deed. Let's see how he likes being the cautionary tale instead. Cameron hugged me tight. 3 days. 3 days, I agreed, watching the paused video of Trey's angry face. Then everyone sees the truth. The party was in full swing when I walked into my house wearing the red dress that had once made Trey so angry. Cameron and Yael flanked me like bodyguards, each carrying folders that held our ammunition for the night. He's by the fireplace, Cameron whispered, making some kind of speech. Trey stood elevated on the hearth, champagne in hand, surrounded by the city's elite. Bonnie was at his side, wearing a forced smile and a dress that still had its price tags tucked inside. I could see them peeking out at her neck. Friends, colleagues, honored guests, Trey was saying. Tonight we celebrate new beginnings. And some endings, I announced loudly, making my way through the crowd. The room went silent. Trey's champagne glass froze halfway to his lips. Callie. He recovered quickly, his smile tight. How unexpected. Is it? Your mother insisted I come. I nodded to Aurora, who stood near the stairs with 2 men I recognized as federal agents, right on schedule. Well, Trey cleared his throat. Since you're here, you can help me make our big announcement. Oh, I have an announcement of my own. I moved to the center of the room. About this house, actually, and about truth. This isn't the time, he snapped, reaching for Bonnie's hand. She pulled away. It's exactly the time. I opened the first folder. Everyone here thinks they know the story of this house, the successful businessman who built his dream home. But that's not quite accurate, is it, Trey? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I saw several of his business partners exchange glances. In fact, I continued, this house was bought and renovated entirely through my inheritance. Every marble tile, every wooden beam, every crystal chandelier, paid for by my mother's trust fund. She's lying, Trey sputtered, but Aurora stepped forward. No, she's not. My mother-in-law's voice rang clear. I have all the proof right here. Bank statements, contracts, everything. One of Trey's biggest clients, a developer named Marcus, pushed through the crowd. Is this true? You told me you financed this yourself. And that's not all he lied about. Yael spoke up, opening another folder. Mr. Marcus, would you like to see where your investment capital really went? Don't, Trey warned, but it was too late. The federal agents moved forward as Yael began distributing documents. Tax fraud, embezzlement, kickback schemes, all documented right here. This is ridiculous. Trey jumped down from the hearth. Bonnie, tell them. But Bonnie had moved to stand beside Aurora. I can't lie anymore, Trey. I saw the proof myself. The room erupted in chaos. Business partners demanded explanations. Political connections quickly headed for the exits. Marcus was already on his phone, presumably calling his lawyers. You planned this, Trey growled, advancing toward me. You vindictive... Step back, Cameron warned, but Trey kept coming. You think you can humiliate me in my own house? My house, I corrected, and you did this to yourself. He lunged forward, but the federal agents were faster. They caught his arms as he tried to grab me. Trey Morrison, one agent said, we have some questions about your financial records. You can't do this. He struggled against their grip. I built this. I earned this. The only thing you earned, I said quietly, was exactly what you're getting right now. Bonnie stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Callie, for everything. Save it. I turned away from her. Just get out of my house. The agents led Trey away, reading him his rights as he continued to shout threats. The party guests quickly dispersed, leaving behind half-empty glasses and shattered illusions. Well, Cameron said, picking up an abandoned champagne flute, that was dramatic. Aurora hugged me tight. Your mother would be so proud, sweetheart. She always said the truth would come out eventually. Thank you, I whispered, for helping make it happen. What happens now? Bonnie asked quietly from the doorway. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She seemed small and lost, nothing like the confident homewrecker who'd stolen my husband. Now, you leave. Start over. Maybe think about why you were willing to throw away 8 years of friendship for a man who lied to everyone in his life. She nodded, slipped off her engagement ring, and walked out without another word. Yael gathered up the documents, smiling. The DA will want to see all of this, and your house is officially safe. It always was, I said, looking around at the home my mother had made possible. He just never knew it. Cameron raised her glass. To karma. To truth, Aurora added. To Mom, I finished, feeling lighter than I had in months. And to new beginnings. Outside, I could hear police sirens fading into the distance, carrying away the man who thought he could take everything from me. Instead, he'd lost everything himself. The morning sun streamed through my library windows as I sorted through the last of Trey's belongings. Aurora had offered to handle it, but this was something I needed to do myself. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Local business leader pleads guilty to financial crimes. Below was Trey's mugshot, his face a mask of defeated arrogance. Good riddance, Cameron said, walking in with coffee. Did you see the sentencing recommendations? 5 to 7 years. I closed the box of his things. Karma really doesn't mess around. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Bonnie standing on my porch looking nervous. Want me to send her away? Cameron offered. No. I took a deep breath. I need to do this. Bonnie had lost weight, and her designer clothes had been replaced with simple jeans and a sweater. She held out a familiar box. These are yours, she said. Things I borrowed over the years and never returned. I took the box. On top was the friendship bracelet I'd given her on her 30th birthday. Why are you here, Bonnie? I sold the ring, she blurted out. Trey's engagement ring. I donated the money to the women's shelter downtown. Good for you. I also... She swallowed hard. I gave evidence to the DA about everything I knew, the fake accounts, the threats, all of it. Cameron appeared behind me. That was decent of you. Finally. I know it doesn't make up for what I did. Bonnie's eyes filled with tears. But I wanted you to know that you were right, about everything, and I'm getting therapy now. I hope it helps. I started to close the door, but she put her hand out. Wait, there's one more thing. She pulled out an envelope. Remember that business loan you helped me get? For my boutique? I'm signing the shop over to you. It's the least I can do. I looked at the envelope, then back at her. Keep it. Use it to build something honest this time. Really? Consider it my last act as your friend. I handed the box back to her, keeping only the bracelet. Good luck, Bonnie. After she left, Aurora called. The last of Trey's clients just pulled their accounts, she said, and Marcus wants to meet with you about investing in women-owned businesses. Tell him I'll think about it. I fingered the bracelet. How are you holding up? Better than expected. Actually, I'm having dinner with your father tonight. He's been very supportive through all this. Cameron's eyebrows shot up as I ended the call. Dad and Aurora? That's unexpected. Life's full of surprises. I walked to my mother's portrait above the fireplace. Speaking of which, I pressed the hidden panel she'd shown me years ago, revealing a small safe. Inside was one last envelope I hadn't opened yet. What's that? Cameron asked. Mom's final letter. She said to open it when I finally stood up for myself. The paper was thick, expensive, just like everything Mom chose. Her elegant handwriting filled the page. My dearest Callie, if you're reading this, you've finally discovered your own strength. I always knew you would. The house was never just about property or money. It was about giving you a foundation to build your life on. Your terms, your rules, your truth. I saw what Trey was long before you did, but you needed to see it yourself. That's why I set up the trust the way I did. Not to trick him, but to protect you until you were ready to protect yourself. Remember, your worth isn't in what you own or who loves you. It's in how you rise when life knocks you down. I'm so proud of you, my brave girl. All my love. Mom. Cameron wiped her eyes. She knew. She knew everything. She always did. I carefully folded the letter. Help me with something? We spent the afternoon rearranging furniture, hanging new artwork, and finally painting over the last trace of Trey's presence, the pretentious accent wall he'd insisted on in the dining room. As we worked, Aurora and Dad dropped by with dinner. Yael came later with a bottle of wine and news about the case. We sat in my newly arranged living room, laughing and sharing stories. A toast, Dad proposed, raising his glass. To new chapters. To family, Aurora added, squeezing his hand. To karma, Cameron grinned. To Mom, I said, looking at her portrait. And to the home she helped me build, in every way that matters. Outside, the sun set on my house. Truly mine now, in name and in spirit. Inside, surrounded by people who'd stood by me through everything, I finally felt the truth of Mom's words. This was never about revenge. It was about finding my own strength, my own voice, my own way forward, and I was ready for whatever came next.